like, hey, so you want to be my wife? Like I say this sometimes.
Yeah, you can believe that.
How does that make you feel when I say that?
No, that's the thing. Like, we don't believe in the state or the church, so how do people like us get married?
Yeah, right. So you know, I'm like designing this idea of like, okay, we're gonna do these contracts that people can enforce on the blockchain. These bit XYZs, you know, bit healthcare, bit marriage, right? And you're like, well, what is that actually worth? Like, how do you enforce that? And so like there's two layers. One is like the deterrence layer. And the truth is that most like private contracts that people sign, like they never go to court, right? Like, you know, here's a contract, I'm going to hire you for this. And like, it's not worth it to go sue the guy afterwards if he like fucked off, you know, you just pay him some money for what he did and okay, peace, you know? The same is true in like, well, not usually, no, in a prenuptial agreement, usually that gets contested and you have to meet that out. So like if you've got your assets in crypto money form, right? And instead of having like a joint bank account, you've got like a multi-sig address where you're saving together and investing those bitcoins or dollar coins into like crypto bonds or whatever it is. So like, okay, that's something. And then like if you've got your deed to your house, right? Or, you know, some other type contracts and like the copy is held in this address, and then you're tied in with this other contract, and that contract is more likely to be respected by a court, right? So that's the second layer, is like, if there's no deterrent, or if there's a deterrent, but you're just like, screw you, like, you jerk, like, I'm gonna take the kids away, like, you know, everything that we, like, agreed on before just suddenly gets flipped on its head. It's been known to happen. Then you go to court, and now we're in the family court system, and usually families get screwed by the family court system and children suffer. But let's say you don't care about that. Or let's say I don't care about that. Maybe I'm the one who's like, yeah, like you cheated on me or something like that. I'm going to take the kids away from you. So like a family court is unlikely to respect a contract relating to visitation because the state presumes authority over like children's bodies and like how they get raised, even to the extent of taking them away from mothers and fathers, and then they get raped in the foster care system, and it's just like, well, hey, you know, we tried.
But why should another entity have like a say in our relationship or how things go?
Absolutely, but just by the virtue of like existing in a certain domain, you know, in a certain region of the planet Earth, like people will believe that they have the right to like take your children away from you under certain circumstances. And if you're like, no, don't take my child away, a cop will like put a gun to your head or whatever. And you know, so it's you know, it's like that. But a prenup, like in the United States, will be respected. And in a civil code country like Latin American countries, which is where we're likely to live, we're not like super huge fans of Gringolandia. Then it's a civil code country, so you can't even do a prenup here, right? If you do a prenup, this patriarchal Spanish concept of like, well, she's a woman, she had the children, so you've got to pay for her, like that's going to be enforced. Like you don't get to make contracts of whatever type you like in civil code countries.
No, it's not even about the children, it's just about marrying someone. Because marrying someone is like buying a woman, basically.
Well, it doesn't have to be like that, right?
Yeah.
It can be more like...
That's like the traditional way of...
Right. So, and we could design a marriage contract in that form if you were into that, but I don't think you would be. And frankly, I wouldn't be either, because I don't need another liability in my life. I need an asset, which is what I believe you are to me, and I am to you, right?
Aww.
So isn't that sweet? It's like a financialization of romance.
Yeah.
So it's more about like, okay, like we're going to embark on like a joint venture of like living together. And how are we going to govern that in the worst case scenario? And what is the worst case scenario? Like if we have like a wild like threesome or something, like is that grounds for saying he cheated on me? Well, I wasn't cheating, you know, like I was right, she was right there, you know. You know, so you got to just define all these things. So I would say like a bit marriage would have like 4 or 5 different parts, right? You got responsibilities, like, you know, like don't cheat. Okay, well, what is cheating? That kind of a thing. Then you've got how the family savings would be invested? Would it be like in a joint multi-sig address? Would it be in separate addresses? And then how would property be divided in the event of a split? And then how would child care responsibilities and custody and so on be allocated in the event of a split? And if you're doing this consensually and you're designing it to your taste, and people change, right, over long periods of time. This is kind of the tricky thing about marriage. Right now, you're a cute 21-year-old, and I believe when you're 31, you'll still be cute and still be nice. But who knows? We might have completely different attitudes. Like all the atoms in our body will have been swapped out due to quantum chaos and such. So our cells will replace themselves, and so literally we'll be different people. So how can we know that this contract will still reflect our interests, right? So then you can put in another sort of meta provisioning for like periodic revisions, and then whatever you agree on is the revision. That could be like your marriage renewal ceremony, like people do that, right?
It needs to have some. If you're dealing with human lives, it has to have flexibility.
Yes, and that can be designed in. So you want to get bit married with me?
Maybe.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We can get bit engaged. Right? So we'll design a contract, and then we'll lock it in as like, okay, we've got like, let's say 2 years, or let's say 3 years. Let's see, 3 years. We got like a 3-year term to like enter into the contract, like for real, or it expires and it's like, well, and then we have like one of these awkward conversations, like, why haven't you committed? Whatever. And yeah, take it from there.
How romantic. That's so cute.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, will you enter into a option to enter into a permanent contract with periodic revisioning? Get engaged to me, like, and I don't have a ring. I do have a cup of coffee that's making a ring on the wood. So would you accept that coffee ring as a symbol of my, conditional and highly specific commitment?
Okay.
Okay.
Aw, that is so sweet.